draw that wheel today. So I'm going to start a sketch. Pick a plane. My computer's a little slow, a lot slow. Pick a plane. I usually work on an XY plane. Draw one circle. That'll be your outer portion of the wheel. We'll draw another circle. That'll be the lip in between them, and then the inner pocket. And then we'll draw a hex in the center, essentially a center cap, or well, on a real wheel it'd be the center cap, which typically would be a completely separate piece. And you've got multiple options for hexes in there. I just pick the where the circle's on the outside, how big of a circle you want. So basically it'd be point to point would be your diameter. If you did an inside circle, it would be flat to flat. And I'm just pulling the numbers out my rear like I normally do. I'm not trying to make it exactly the same way as the other one, just giving you a general idea of how we would do this. Now I already had probably about a 3-4 foot section of 3-inch 6160 solid stock, which is why I chose to do a wheel. Again, this was to get a couple of the neighborhood kids, my son's 8, and a couple of his friends, same age range, a little bit interested in it. Let them see what you could do with some of these machines. So here we'll go ahead and do the extrusion once we've dimensioned the circles the way we want them to be. So basically the outside the outside diameter that we're going to machine it to. The outside diameter we'll machine it to. Sorry about that's my phone. And then the inside diameter, basically giving it the lip thickness. Alright. So we'll go into create, pick a actually I'm making a new component. I should have done this from the beginning. That's the way I should have started, was off a new component, because now my sketches are separate from my component. So I should have started a new component first and then went into my sketches, but we're already past that point. So I went ahead and created a component, and now we'll do the extrude. And since all 3 of them are different, I'm gonna do 3 different extrudes. So we'll extrude the outside. On this one, we're going to extrude it from the mid plane both directions evenly. So we'll click on our distance, tell it how far we want it to go. That's only from the sketch plane, I believe it is. So we're going to pick symmetrical, so we'll do it evenly on both sides. Now we can look at it and see that it went too far, so we want it to be the overall dimension, not 1 inch per side, but 1 inch overall. So now we got our outer ring. So we'll go back in, create another extrude. Of course our sketches are turned off, so we'll go over there and turn our sketches on so we can see what we got there, even though we didn't really need it, but we'll turn them on. We'll pick that bottom section. I always turn it so I can see which way the arrow is going. We'll pick the bottom section. We'll give it a distance, basically how far we want it to extrude. Now this one we'll keep from the sketch plane, and we'll just tell it how far we want it to go. So now we got the outside and the middle section machine, or constructed. So now we'll do the hex in the center. Now this one we're going to switch to symmetrical, which means it's going to go both sides of the sketch plane evenly. We're going to tell it that we want it to be whatever number we punch in, it's going to be the total distance. So you can see right here we screwed the pooch. So we'll go back in and edit the feature. Actually the number that we put in was the total, or was only half the number, because we wanted to go 0.4, so we should have typed in 0.8 for the total distance, but since we put in 0.4 we went back and just changed it. That way it was doing 0.4 on both sides. And we think the hex is a little big, so we'll go back in and change that, make it smaller. That way it'll give us room for the flames and all that. So there we go. We basically got our the basic shape done. So now we're going to go in and put some chamfers on some stuff. So you go back into you go into modify and pick your chamfer. We're doing equal distance. Tell the distance we want, and again, since these are going to be different size chamfers, we're doing them separately. Same here, equal distance. That drop down right above will allow you to type in whatever chamfer it is that you want, or give you the option to select it, then you can type it in. So now we're going to put in the little, the wheels have those little usually socket head cap screws all the way around them. I'm not sure the purpose of them other than looks. So we're going to go ahead and put in some deals here. So we'll draw a circle, give it a dimension, then we'll put a line in, and we got that line centered between the two, the upper and outer edges. So then we just make the circle coincident with that, and since it was already coincident with that green line, it put it right in the center where we wanted it, even though the green line wouldn't have really mattered for this. It just needed to be in between the two points. So then we're going to go in here and we're going to make I think it's called spherical, basically a ball. And we're going to pick that circle, and we'll tell it how big of a ball we want. And then when we click OK, there will essentially be half a ball in there. So if you're doing it with a ball mill, you could just come in and drop the ball mill in like it was a drill. But for this, you can do it. What I did it with was a center drill. It's for an 8-year-old. He don't know the difference. As long as it looks fancy for him, he was cool. So then we're gonna end up doing a pattern. So we'll go back into create, go down to pattern, do a circular pattern. You're going to select the what it is you're looking to pattern. So we're going to pattern features. We'll zoom in on our little thing so we can pick it. Although I'm not sure that that's how we did it. I had trouble getting my microphone to work, so it's been some days I've been working on this dang thing. I can't remember what the hell I got going on. Yeah, so I selected down at the bottom is what I did. Select the spherical feature. then pick a radius, which I was trying to pick that center point down there. I don't know why it wouldn't let me pick that, but whatever. And then I basically just keep hitting the button until I've got a spacing with the little check marks you see on the outside. And that's, you can uncheck them if you don't want one in that instance. You can uncheck each one of them and it'll not place it there. So there you go. Now we got our little dimples all the way around it. Pretty fancy stuff, huh? It's really pretty rudimentary. So now we're going to insert a picture. And I just went on Google and searched cool flames or some crap like that to find the flame image that I wanted. Then we just select the image, import it, use little arrows and all that crap to resize it. The square, you can drag it, but you'll see on the upper right hand corner of the square, you can grab those bars and resize it like we're getting ready to do. So we'll grab the center radius bar, and that'll move the whole thing in one. Or you can grab the side bars and move each side individually. So we're going to move it out of there, and then we'll rotate the wheel a little bit just to get it on that flat spot. It doesn't really matter. I'm just kind of weird like that. It doesn't look right to my eye, so I don't. So I gotta change it, I guess. I'm weird that way, maybe. Then we'll rotate the flames to make the flat line up with the flat. But again, it didn't make a damn one way or another. I'm just the way I am. So there you go. We'll place the flame there. Now we'll zoom into it. Now we're going to do a spline. And this probably isn't the best way to do it. I mean, you could have imported it and turned it into a vector and probably just had the outline of it for what I was trying to do. But I learned that after the fact on a Titans of CNC project that I was trying to work on. I believe it was I got the idea first from John Saunders and then just went searching. So basically I'm just drawing the spline wherever there's a curve at, there's a point. It doesn't always work out the way you want. A lot of times they're bending in the wrong direction. You'll have to go in and add points. You can subtract points, move points. But you basically just get it there, and then you get it there, then we'll turn the picture off. And then once the picture's off, we can go in and adjust the spline points to where it looks like a flame, because it's going to look like a hot mess. As soon as you turn the picture off, it'll be horrendous. You see how, like that one there, it was curving in the wrong direction. As you can see, it's some points look decent already, and a lot of it is just where the splines were rolling in the wrong direction, so on and so forth. So you just got to go in and, like I said, drag them, rotate them, delete them, add them, whatever it is that you have to do. Like this one right here, no matter where you drag it, it's still going to be rounded. So I had to go in and actually add a point on that spline to get it to bend the direction I wanted it to bend. You could have grabbed a bar and adjusted it, but sometimes things get screwy, especially if the radius gets funky on you, because then every spline after that you get yourself in a wormhole, and it can be a pain in the ass to get back out of that wormhole. So right here I'm adding a spline. You just right click and hit add spline, and then it'll give you the little arrow that comes up. You basically place it where you want it, then you can drag it anywhere on that spline that you need it. But this is the same thing. You're getting that rounded in because I didn't have enough spline right there to pull it to a sharp point. So you basically just drag these things and move them until they look good to you. There's no scientific approach to doing something like this. Whatever's appealing to your eye. Again, right click. In this case, I'm actually going to rotate it. You can see the radius portion. You got the straight bar, which will change the pitch of it. But that radius portion will change the radius that's actually there, and you get it locked into a funky radius, and it's just a pain in the ass sometimes, especially with my slow computer, where I can click on something and it's not moving like it should, and by the time I get it to move, I've already drug it too far, and I just find myself basically chasing a ghost, because by the time it's there, I'm screwed. So now I put a sketch circle in, basically just to connect the ends to. Again, it's not really something that had to be done, but I'm weird like that. I I just have to give it a finish, I guess you could say. It's not finished right here, so I have to finish it. So I'll have to drag any points below it up to the circle, any points above it down to the circle, or add more splines, or whatever I got to do to complete the madness. But in my own head, I just have to do that. It just seems incomplete otherwise. So basically on there, I'm just putting a spline. I'm putting 3 points. The initial point on the point that's already there, a point in between the circle and that one, and then a point onto the circle. That way, with 3 points, 2 of them are locked in, and then that third point you can just drag it to get a radius, instead of just a sharp line like how it looks right now. It just looks like a sharp line on the right. So then I just do another pattern, go into sketch, do a circular pattern, right click and drag to the left and down and capture that whole spline, rotate it 3 times. Then I have to rotate the wheel around to do the extrusion. Even though this is an engraving, I just don't like the way the sketch just looks sitting there, so I extrude it just for so it looks good, because I can still engrave on the profile anyway. It looks better when as a model when I can see it versus just some sketch sitting there. So now instead of doing it from the profile plane, since the sketch is drawn on that top profile, I'm going to tell it to do it from that selection right there. And then I'm going to tell it to go down, I think it was 10 thousandths, minus 10 thousandths, maybe 20 thousandths. So there you go, now we got flames down there. And you just turn the sketch off. That way you don't have to see it anymore. But you see how the bottom section looks so much cleaner when you attached it to that radius. So now we'll draw the pockets into it. Now when I drew the first ones, I wasn't thinking of the radius. That's how I broke that 1/2" tool. I drew the corners too small, and I did it all with splines. So on this one, what I do is I'm going to go in and draw 3 circles, which are basically my 3 corners. And I'm going to make sure each circle is more than 1/4 inch, which is the tool that I'm using. I believe I went with like 0.3 or something like that. That way it doesn't load that tool up so much when you slam into those corners. And then once we've drawn the 3 circles, I'll basically go in and draw 3 splines. Kind of like how I connected it to the flames to the circle. I'll do attach 1 dot to each circle and then 1 dot in the middle. And then you can drag that middle dot to give you a comfortable radius instead of just a straight line. So I'll dimension 1 circle, and then I'll constrain the other circles as the same diameter. That way, if you change the 1 circle diameter, everything's going to change. They're instead of just dimensioning 1 circle at a time, because then you got to edit all 3 circles if you want to edit the deal instead of just editing the one. So basically, like I said, put a spline in between each circle, drag the circles around where they look good, drag the splines around where they look good. Easy peasy. You got to make sure that your spline doesn't cross over your circle though, leaving little loops in there. I mean, for this it would still machine it, but it's just not good practice. Same with them flames. You get a lot of little loops in there where a spline's trying to cross over top of another spline or something. So again, you rotate it, that way you can pick it for some reason straight on it, don't want to pick it. Rotate it, pick the profile that you want. One of the cool things about Fusion over SolidWorks is you can pick that profile without deleting all the lines inside of it. So we'll do the same thing. We'll tell it that we want it to cut from that selection, and we'll select the bottom profile. Then on this one, instead of giving it a depth, we're going to tell it we want it to cut to an object, flip it over, and pick that bottom face because we want it to go all the way to there. So there we go. Now we've got our hole popped in there. We'll turn our sketches off. Now we'll come into to create, and we'll do another pattern. If you're patterning sketches, you do the sketch pattern. But if you're making a pattern with features, you go into the create and do that. So again, we'll pick the profile of the thing we want to pattern. We'll pick the circle in the middle because that's what we're patterning it around 3 times, and there you go. We'll have 3 patterns. So now we'll go back in, do chamfers. Now, if I was smart, I probably would have put the chamfer on beforehand and then just pattern the whole deal. So you want to tell it what size chamfer you want, equal distance, 20 thousandths, 50 thousandths, 100 thousandths, 2 inches, whatever it is that you want to do. And there we have it. A completed wheel, drawn and ready for programming, which will be the next video. Stay tuned.